How many more virtual meetings are we having now that we have the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic? Many of us are working from home now. How comfortable are you with the technology? I'm Linda Katz-Wilner, founder of Successfully Speaking, and I've been conducting online live training over the past decade to people throughout the United States and around the world. So, I decided to hop on the bandwagon and offer some of my best practices and lessons learned. Whether you're using GoToMeeting, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or any other product, here are some pointers to consider. Let's first look at preparation. Check what's in your background. You'll hear this a lot. What does it look like? Is it an office, kitchen, bedroom? Is your office a mess? Do you have things all over the place? Think about the image you're trying to project. Dress professionally, at least from the waist up. My feeling is dress your brand so that you're consistent. Whether you're barefoot, wearing shoes, or whatever it is, be comfortable that you're projecting the correct image. Clean your computer screen of any unnecessary files that might be open and slow down your computer. And make sure to turn off your phones and any pop-ups or email notifications. Not only is it distracting, but it could be a privacy breach when the other person starts to see who's sending you emails. Get onto the platform before the time of the meeting or webinar so that you're not late and you're not frustrating yourself or the other people in the meeting. Let's move on to technical issues. I am by no means an expert, but I've learned a lot of lessons. Although you can use wireless when you're in these meetings, it is preferred to be hardwired to the internet. It has a faster response and everything will stream better. I learned this the hard way working with clients in South Korea. Make sure the lighting is on your face. Many people are in front of a window, and if the window is behind you, you will become a shadow and they can't see you. You want to adjust your camera or chair so that you're looking head on. You don't want to be looking up on the screen or down because that's what they're seeing. Also, sit forward to look engaged. If you're leaning back or hunched over, you may not project the same professional presence that you're hoping to. We all know eye contact is important, and here's a challenge with these virtual meetings. Make sure the picture of the other person slides over and is right beneath the lens of the webcam. So when you look at that person, they think that you're looking right at them. Check your microphone and speaker at the beginning of the session before you get started. Each of them have ways that you can do a sound check and a vision check. Are they set up to the correct speaker source? That's usually the problem we have. If you are hearing an echo while you're in the session or any type of feedback, you want to lower the volume on these speakers, or better yet, put on headsets. And if you can't correct these audiovisual problems, leave the meeting and return, and that sometimes corrects it. Sometimes we might even need to reboot our computer. Now you're conducting a meeting or a webinar. What are some ideas? Set up an agenda ahead of time, just like any other meeting, and send it out to the participants. Be aware in a webinar that if you're talking to the co-host before the start time, people who are entering can hear you. You might want to mute all attendees on arrival or once you start the webinar. Consider whether you want the attendees' videos on. Here are my thoughts. If it's a team meeting, you want to see everybody so you can get some nonverbal feedback when you're speaking with them. However, with a webinar, ideally, you should have the host and the guest on camera. Everybody else should have their cameras shut off once the webinar starts, so we're not distracted by what might be going on in their individual settings. Make sure you and your guest both have copies of a slide deck if you're using that, in case there's a problem on one end. And use a private chat box when you're communicating with your moderator or co-host. Most platforms have this. You can communicate with your administrator privately, your co-host, or even particular attendees. Of course, you want to do a technical dry run with your guest to foresee any potential problems. And make sure your guest has a backup phone number in case they drop out of the webinar. They can call in and you still can have them presenting. Be ready to mute any late arriving guests. Many times I've heard phones ringing and conversations going on in the middle of a webinar. And to make it easiest, when you're running a webinar, use an administrator or assistant. They can greet the new attendees, they can answer technical questions, and they can ping you when a question comes from the audience so that you can focus on your guest and the actual webinar. If you're interested in learning more about this or attending future webinars, comment below or email me at linda@lindakatzwillner.com. The best of luck in all of your upcoming virtual trainings and meetings.